Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to week 7 of Cyber Resilience, Protecting What Matters in 2025. I'm Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the founder of CSTGIA, and today we're going to be talking about securing the supply chain, the next frontier in cyber defense. Over the past 6 weeks, we've covered key topics such as cybersecurity priorities, AI-driven threats, proactive security strategies, leadership in cybersecurity, and AI's role in cyber resilience. But today we're tackling one of the most pressing cybersecurity challenges of 2025 and beyond, and that's supply chain security. With cyber attacks targeting third-party vendors, software providers, and cloud-based infrastructures, securing the supply chain has become a critical priority for organizations worldwide. So today, our focus is how can organizations mitigate supply chain risks, help secure third-party vendors, and build a resilient supply chain cybersecurity framework. Today, we're going to ask you as an opening question, have you reviewed the cybersecurity posture of your suppliers and vendors in the last 6 months? And if not, what's stopping you from doing so? Do you need more information? Do you need a framework? Do you need a checklist? CSTGIA and its partners can help you if you don't feel like you're ready to go to this next step. So why does supply chain security continue to be such a critical issue in 2025? Because recent high-profile breaches have exposed how cyber criminals exploit supply chain weaknesses to infiltrate larger organizations. Over 80% of organizations have experienced at least one supply chain related cybersecurity breach in the past year. And the shift to cloud-based services, SaaS providers, and global vendors ultimately can increase our attack surfaces and create security blind spots. Regulators are focused on tightening supply chain security requirements and making compliance more complex in some cases for businesses that are already stretched thin with regard to resources. A real-world case study offers us a view into this, and that's the MOVEit supply chain attack of 2024. A vulnerability in the widely used MOVEit file transfer software led to a massive global data breach, impacting agencies, government agencies, financial institutions, and Fortune 500 companies. This attack highlights the urgent need for vendor security risk assessments and continuous monitoring. So our question of you today and for your own teams and organization is, what's your biggest concern regarding supply chain security? Is it third-party risk, software vulnerabilities, compliance challenges, or something else? So we'll get right into the key strategies for strengthening supply chain security and the steps you can take today to help mitigate these issues. The first element is vendor risk management. We want you to trust, but we also want you to verify. How can we do that? And that's through either your team or gaining experts that can help you conduct a thorough cybersecurity audit of all your third-party vendors. That's by requiring compliance through SOC 2, ISO 27001, or NIST frameworks from suppliers handling sensitive data. And that's by implementing continuous vendor monitoring to track cybersecurity risks in real time. An example of advances in this area is a global financial services firm who now requires all vendors to pass a cybersecurity risk assessment before onboarding so that they can help to mitigate third-party attacks. So an action item for you all and your organization in this area might be to identify your top 5 vendors and assess their cybersecurity posture, thus helping you understand your risk management framework with greater granularity and any risk mitigation actions you need to take in the short term, medium term, and long term to help create better resiliency within your organization. Number 2, security software and cloud-based services. We want to be able to apply security by design principles when integrating our third-party applications. We want to require software bill of materials to track vulnerabilities in open source components. And we want to establish zero trust access controls to prevent unauthorized software interactions. An example of advances in this area is a healthcare organization successfully mitigating a ransomware attack by isolating third-party applications in a segmented network. So our question and action item is, what security measures do you have in place for your third-party SaaS providers? Is there a way you can amplify your compliance and or your security engineering within this area for greater defense in depth? Number 3, strengthening identity and access controls. Enforcing multi-factor authentication is key for all supplier portals. We want to implement privileged access management, or PAM, to limit vendor accesses, and we want to continuously monitor for insider threats from our third-party partners. An example of moving this forward is a government agency that stopped an insider attack after detecting anomalous login attempts from a third-party contractor. So our action item for you in this area this week is to review and limit vendor access permissions to only what's necessary functionally and operationally. 4th, building a supply chain cyber resilience plan. We can enhance our security posture in this area by establishing incident response protocols for third-party breaches. We can require vendors to have cyber insurance and ransomware recovery plans, and we can engage in cross-sector cybersecurity collaboration to share threat intelligence to help us mitigate the threats and minimize our risk. An example of moving it forward in this area is a multinational retailer reduced third-party risks by conducting quarterly cybersecurity drills with vendors to test supply chain resilience. So our challenge in this area to you over this next week or month or quarter is to map out one key step your organization can take to improve cyber chain resiliency this time interval. So in closing, supply chain cybersecurity is a business imperative. We want you to think beyond and proactively vet vendors, monitor third-party risks, and build zero-trust supply chain networks. Regulatory bodies are increasing the enforcement on vendor security, and compliance is just one of the key ways to mitigate and minimize your risk. Our challenge for you in this week's action steps is to conduct a third-party cybersecurity risk assessment, review your vendor contracts to ensure cybersecurity compliance requirements, and implement zero trust security controls for external vendors and SaaS providers. We want to understand and gain your insights into how your organization is improving supply chain security in 2025. So please post your discussions in our LinkedIn topic area for CSTGIA.org. We'll be bringing you next week the future of cybersecurity, navigating quantum threats and post-quantum cryptography. This is Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the founder of CSTGIA, closing out week 7, where we've discussed securing the supply chain, the next frontier in cyber defense.